All right, we're live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of 2020 for DVU Overtime. I'm returning as your host, Justin Briggs, and this here is...
I'm Greg Gipe. I'm a new host to the show. Glad to be here.
Indeed, we're glad to have you, Greg. So, what do we got first?
So the first thing I have is the NBA Finals. The Lakers took the lead with a 3-1 going into an elimination game for the Heat. So, yeah.
Indeed. So, my stance on that is, if you didn't know the Lakers after they beat Denver, because that's my basketball team, they beat Denver. But after they beat Denver, if you didn't know the Lakers were going to win this finals by now, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't know. I'm still rocking with Jimmy for another game.
You going with Jimmy?
I think Jimmy and the young Tyler Hero. I think they stand a chance to maybe shock Bron one more time.
Okay. I like Tyler Hero. I like Jimmy too. I think they're great players.
Yeah, you don't think they hold up?
They're not LeBron. No, they're not LeBron.
Now, piggybacking off of that, do you think if LeBron wins this, you think he takes the GOAT conversation, or?
So I think the GOAT conversation, that's a tricky one, because no matter what LeBron does from this point on, there's still always going to be, he teamed up with D Wade and Bosh to win his first title. He's lost in the finals numerous times. He's lost in the finals where it's been his fault that he's lost in the finals against the Mavericks. I think that's always going to be hung over his head, and just the lore of Michael Jordan when he won 3 straight, retired, won 3 more. I think that's always going to stand, and I think there's always going to be those Michael Jordan guys where it's like nobody was greater than Michael Jordan. To me, I think LeBron is the GOAT. I think he's already the GOAT. I think win or lose this final series, there's never going to be another basketball player like LeBron James.
I don't know. I struggle to see that fact because you have the greats. I mean, let's go back. You have the logo. You have Michael Jordan. You have LeBron James. Now, I just went through 3 generations of 3 different guys that we all consider that they were the greatest of their time. I think, personally, the new up-and-comer that will be the greatest of his time is Luka the Don.
You think Luka is going to be the greatest of his time? I think that's an interesting take. I think the next up is, I don't know if he's a little too old for this, but I think it's Giannis. I think Giannis, the Greek freak, I think he's lost his time. I think he either needs to get out of Milwaukee now. Okay. Or it's over with. His shot of being there. Mm-hmm. I don't think Giannis. I heard something today that Giannis, it will never be LeBron unless he finds his, let's say, Pippen. Yeah. I do believe he's a Jordan or of that caliber, but I think he needs that person to elevate him because he's not doing it alone. Yeah. I mean, he hasn't proven that he can go there yet. So if he doesn't get out of Milwaukee, I think that is not even possible. I respect that.
Yeah. So we'll move into the NFL here. What do you think of these COVID positive tests and these postponed games and?
So when it first came out, my thing was I was like, they're not going to finish the season at this rate. Where it was, what was the first cases? I think were the Titans, I believe. Yep. And then it came out Cam Newton had it. Yep. When it first came out that Cam Newton had it, I was like, they're not going to finish the season. But as it's going on, I'm hearing more that the NFL's cracking down now. They're starting to crack down on the policies. So I think this is going to be a little bit of an outbreak. There might be one more. I think they're going to be able to finish the season, but at the rate they were going before, they weren't going to finish the season to me.
Well, see, the thing that gets me is we see the NBA come out and they restart their season. Mm-hmm. They have 0 positive cases, not a single one. Yeah. I mean, they handled COVID-19 like a champ.
They did.
And then hockey modeled what NBA did, and they didn't have a single case. Yes. And then the MLB comes out, and they're having cases left and right.
And
then the NFL decides to model what the MLB did. Like, I just don't understand where the commissioner had that thought. Like, yeah, let's do this.
So my thing is, I'm pretty sure that for the NFL to do what the NBA did to bubble up, that the NFL has so many more resources. You got, first of all, 53 players per team. We're talking about 32 teams, 53 players per team. That's well over 1,000, 2,000 guys. So first of all, there's more players you have to worry about. Then you got the practice squad guys. You have to add those on there. Then there's so much more personnel for the NFL. You got head coach, O coordinator, D coordinator, special teams coordinator, camera guys, towel boys, laundry people, you know what I'm saying, janitor, all of that. You have so many people to account for in the NFL organization. And somebody broke that down to me, and it made a lot more sense why the NFL just can't do an NFL bubble. My thing is, I think teams should do a bubble. I know it's asking a lot of players to go away from their families for what, it's like 4 or 5 months the season can span to. That's asking a lot of players, I get it. But I think it's the safest way. I think every team should be their stadium. You practice there, you live there in the hotels or whatever, do the same thing, bubble it up into, I'm an Eagles fan. So Philadelphia bubble, Eagles bubble, and then you travel to the game, and then you come right back. You don't meander around, you don't do anything. You go to the game, come right back, and still bubble it up. I think that's the best case scenario. So,
personally, I think that if you bubble a conference, I was thinking that. I was like, you take, let's say, the NFC East, and you bubble them in either Philly or DC. Yeah. And then now you're in one of the two big cities. I mean, you don't really want to take them to New York because that's just not going to work out. I mean, you could take them to Dallas, but that's just all of the teams are over here, not in Dallas. So you're closer to family over here. Yeah. But if you were to just bubble some conferences and then keep those conferences together and you practice at the facilities, you keep them in the hotels, and then I think you lower the cases. Yeah. I don't think you have what the Titans had happen in that case.
Exactly. And that's the thing is that, when we talk about bubbles here, it's kind of a foolproof plan. I mean, it followed correctly, which we saw the NBA do. They didn't have positive cases in their bubble. If you bubble up like the NBA did, I think, you're not going to have the Titans, or you're not going to have, if we go to the MLB, it was the Marlins, I believe, that had a huge outbreak on their team. You're not going to have a Marlins of the NFL. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
You're gonna get that thing reduced.
So now off of this, I mean, we just saw Stephon Gilmore of the Patriots tested positive. So now we have Cam Newton and Stephon Gilmore.
So it's official. He tested positive.
He did.
I saw he was in contact.
He tested positive, and that concerns me. Do the Broncos-Patriots happen this weekend?
Ooh, I think it does. Did he play last week?
Correct, yeah.
So he played last week and he just tested positive. Now that is more of a concern to me. What's going on with that?
But Kansas City they tested again and they have 0 cases.
Okay.
So I think Kansas City plays next week, no problem.
Yeah.
But I'm not convinced that the Patriots-Broncos will happen.
Well, what I think happened was that he was in close contact with Cam Newton directly, just in contact with Newton. I don't know who's been in contact with Gilmore, but I think if it's just those two, I think they'll just get him out of there and then, do what they do. But that's, that's a big what if. You don't know who you've been around or who's been tracing you back. So I think if they don't have any more positive cases, I think that they'll still be good to play. I don't know if they even want to play without Gilmore or Newton. That's their 2 best players on each side of the ball. Exactly. I don't know if they want to play, but they'll be able to.
That's the thing. If Newton doesn't come back, do the Patriots have a chance at the playoffs?
Newton's going to come back.
Well, I mean, they're losing him for 2 games.
Yeah.
Okay, so they've already caught 1 L to the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's the best team in the NFL.
Exactly. Okay, but if they come up again against the Broncos, which aren't playing real well, and lose again, I think now we have a situation where Newton's really gonna have to pull them out of a hole. Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, we'll jump down to the bottom of the list here, and I don't know if the Patriots lose again if they can catch the Bills.
You don't think they can? Okay, so The Bills are on fire this year. I think the Bills are going to win that division this year. But
easily.
I just don't. If Cam Newton stays healthy and he comes back and he's healthy, injury free, and COVID free, I don't see the Patriots missing out on the players. Cam Newton was playing. He was playing good football. The Patriots were playing good football when they were on the field. And you see, had Cam Newton played in a game it was Monday night. Had Cam Newton played in that game Monday night, Pat Mahomes, he's only had 3 halves where he hasn't scored a touchdown. They're all against the Patriots. If they held that when Cam Newton was playing and they actually converted on the numerous opportunities that they had to score, they beat the Chiefs. I have them beating the Chiefs on Monday night if they have Cam Newton. And that's a scary thing to see. So you know what I'm saying? We're talking about the Patriots going against some of the top teams in the AFC. I really do see them posing a threat to even the Chiefs. I think the Patriots are going to still be a team to be reckoned with if Cam Newton should stay healthy.
Okay. I mean, so what do you think about this whole thing? I mean, you have postponed games. Mm-hmm. You have to make them up. Now teams don't have bye weeks.
Yeah.
Think about how big bye weeks are. I mean, you play football.
Yeah.
That off week, that week that gets your star wide receiver that pulled his hamstring. Yeah. Now he's back because of that week. And that week was placed right in your season where it was right where you needed it. Yeah. And now all of a sudden you don't have it because now you have to make this game up. Yeah. And that week that you had off because of COVID didn't help you any because it was so soon in the season that you didn't have anybody hurt. You didn't have anybody needing to come back. Nothing. But now it's gone. Yeah. And you just have to work with that.
Yeah, so I think, what we might see, so I have Derrick Henry in fantasy, and I was looking at that. I looked at it, he has the bye, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they took away his bye late. It was a week 8 bye he had originally. They took away his bye. I just saw a big string of games. And Derrick Henry, he gets 25 plus touches a game. So what I think we might see is just those teams, we might see some load management. So I think they're going to have to start to take preventative maintenance. Maybe we might see Derrick Henry get about 18 touches in a couple games. You know what I'm saying? Just so you keep the legs fresh. There's no bye week. So, you get your star players or your high volume players, you get them that load management. Maybe they don't play as high of a percentage of snaps just to kind of accommodate for that bye week that they missed out on.
So let's jump over to the NFC here, and we'll first start in the NFC South with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and that Brady Gronk. Is it the Brady Gronk or is it the new Brady Gronk?
What do you mean by that?
Are they still the Brady Gronk of the Pats, or are they now Brady's just trying to catch some money before he retires? I don't know. I mean, I don't know if going to the Bucs was Brady's best idea for his career.
Yeah.
I would have retired personally. I would have gone out on top. I would have said, "All right, see you later," But he decided he wanted to play, and now correct me if I'm wrong, but he has barely a winning record at the moment. So
I think so. My thing is, when you're in those shoes, man, I know the type of person Tom Brady is. It probably would have eaten at him if he would have retired and he felt like he still had something left in the tank. I think we're going to see every drop out of Tom Brady. I think we're going to see a poor Tom Brady before we see him retire.
And that's exactly what we saw out of Brett Favre.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we saw Brett Favre fight for every ounce of what he thought was left in his body.
Brett Favre gave everything
that he thought, and he left it all out there, and now he's making money on Coppertone ads,
Yeah, so that being said, we're not seeing prime Brady, obviously. I think Brady's still a very good quarterback. I don't know what's going on with Gronk. I don't know what Gronk's deal is. He's just been out of it. He didn't look like himself even in his last year with the Patriots.
Not at all.
So just assuming he was going to come back to that level, I think that was a little bit of optimistic thinking. But I like what Brady's doing with Mike Evans, man.
I like that too. I think Brady Evans is a force to be reckoned with.
Brady Godwin, I like what they're doing in Tampa Bay, and I think they're going to be a playoff team. Now, how far they go in the playoffs, that's up to be discussed. But I think Brady, I think he's doing his thing in Tampa. I think he's just chilling. He's throwing it to 6'5" Mike Evans, letting him come down with it. He's throwing it to Chris Godwin. Before he lost O.J. Howard, he was getting some touches. I think, he's not playing football to the point where he's hurting the Bucs more than he's helping them. I think he's helping the Bucs out, and
easily,
especially not having the 32 interceptions Jameis Winston threw last year. I mean, the Bucs could have been a playoff team if Jameis Winston cut that number in half. If he
he was doing incredible things.
Yeah.
Except for he was matching them with an interception.
Yeah.
He would throw 4 touchdown passes and then throw 2 picks.
Yeah.
And one of them would be a pick six, and all of a sudden
pick six in the
it's
fourth
over.
quarter,
Exactly.
and the game's over. When you lose that, the Bucs are a playoff team.
Easily. So we saw that. We saw that the Bears were an undefeated team, and obviously they weren't. They weren't that team. They got shown up on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I just thought that was, everybody was saying, the Bears are going to do something with Nick Foles, and then Nick Foles, he started, and I think Nick Foles is great off the bench, but when he starts a game, it's just something different.
Yeah.
And I also think, I'll jump over to the 49ers and how they started the season so well to just have everything taken away from them in injuries.
That's unfortunate.
I think that they definitely were going somewhere, and injuries just cut that from them.
Yeah, definitely. As far as Chicago goes, man, I love Chicago's defense. I think their defense is so well put together. I love watching them play every Sunday. And, Nick Foles, I'm an Eagles fan. I mentioned that before. Nick Foles, he always going to have a special place on my heart, but I agree with you. It's just when he comes off the bench, he's excellent.
He has a fire in it.
Yeah, when he comes off the bench, as soon as you give him that starting role or something about it, he just doesn't live up to it.
He gets comfortable or something.
He just doesn't live up to it.
You can tell in your great quarterbacks like Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, every game they come out, they have that drive. They have that fire in their eyes that this is going to be the best career game of their life.
Yeah.
Every time. And that's why a lot of the time they're having career games that makes every other quarterback in the league, their career games look like nothing. So, I don't know. So let's get into what both of us really, really like is the NFC East. You're an Eagles fan. I guess I'm a Washington football fan. Don't even get me started with that. But, it's tough to watch.
Yeah.
Our top team right now is 1-2-1.
Hey, nah.
1-2-1, and I don't think anyone in the NFC East should brag about anything.
No, absolutely.
Because they are absolutely awful.
Yeah.
And I think that there's possibilities for 2 teams out of the NFC East to go somewhere. But it's going to have to take someone to light a fire under one of them.
Yeah.
And I think you have the Dallas Cowboys that have to get a defense. Their offense is on fire, but that defense isn't even showing up to games. They're just walking out there and letting offenses score. I think it was 330 yards. You just can't do that in a football game.
Yeah.
And I think the other 2 teams in the Eagles and the Washington football team definitely have room for growth. And I think the biggest thing that the Washington football team needs to figure out is their quarterback. Dwayne Haskins had a bright future that just didn't happen.
Yeah.
It just didn't show. Now, I'm interested to see what Kyle Allen... I had to look up who Kyle Allen was. I was like, who even was this guy? And then I found out he was with Carolina, and he did some things. Mm-hmm. So I think that he could take us somewhere. But, you have Terry McLaurin, that is... I'm not sure if I butchered his name there, but...
Yeah, Scary Terry. That's all you gotta say.
Scary Terry. He is doing absurd things.
Yeah.
And then you have a rookie, Antonio Gibson, that shows out on Sunday.
Yeah, he's good.
And rushes for so many yards. And I just think that if you get something working in Washington behind the center, you have a team that could easily beat the Eagles and easily beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Because I think the Eagles are just so, I mean, I don't know, I don't think the teamwork and the chemistry is anywhere close to where it needs to be.
Yeah.
I mean, they just...
Yeah, so this is, I've said this before, this is the worst Eagles football I've watched since 2012. We won 4 games that year. This is the worst Eagles football I have watched, and that goes from Carson Wentz, which huge disappointment, man. If you know me, I ride for Carson Wentz. I'll take Carson Wentz. You know what I'm saying? There's a period of time where I'm taking Carson Wentz over Rodgers. I'm taking him over Wilson. I'm taking Carson Wentz over everybody. Now I look crazy saying that.
Yeah,
I look ridiculous. I'm watching the games, and it's crazy when you watch the games, because before, when you watch the games, he was off. Like last year, when you watch the games, he was off, but he still had the stats to prove it. And at the end of the day, he still got the job done. Like at the end of the day, he was still getting us the wins. He took us to the playoffs, all that. He's not cutting it. He's losing us games this year, and that's so disappointing to watch. And
all I have to say about that is 27 unanswered points in that game, in that season opener.
Yeah.
I mean, if any football team, you know from playing football, if you put up 27 unanswered points, the game's over.
The game is over.
There is no way to come back from that.
Yeah.
And I don't think they should have walked away with a tie out of that game. I mean, that should have been an L in my opinion too. And I don't know if it's just something in the higher ups at the Eagles, or if it's something down on the ground between the players, but something has to get figured out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard people say no team from the NFC East should even get a playoff bid.
Yeah, that's heartbreaking to hear. But I agree with people that say that. Like,
exactly.
You look at divisions like, I'm trying to think. You look at divisions like, I don't know. I can't think of the NFC off the top of my head that has 3 good teams. Maybe the NFC North. You look at divisions like the NFC North, you got the Packers, the Bears, and the Vikings. All, they could be playoff teams. From watching them, they could all be playoff teams. But it's crazy to think one of those teams isn't going to be able to make it, because you got to put somebody from the, you got to put somebody from the NFC East in.
And we could potentially be putting up a team that's 4-12?
Yeah.
I mean, like, a team that's 4-12 has no business being there to start with.
No.
Especially when you have conferences like the NFC West that's putting up the Seahawks, they're putting up the 49ers.
Exactly.
They have the Cardinals.
Yeah.
The Cardinals could go someplace.
Exactly.
They're
looking good.
I don't know.
You got teams. You got divisions with 3 solid teams, and you got the NFC East, who is like, I don't want to watch any. I'm an Eagles fan. I don't want to watch any of them teams in the playoffs.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Unless something. I mean, the biggest thing that I think would be incredible for an NFC East team, I don't even care who it is.
Yeah.
It could be any of those 3. I don't think it's possible for it to be the Giants, but it could be any of the other 3 to turn this around. And if they go maybe undefeated with maybe 1 or 2 losses, now you're a playoff team.
Yeah, I think the best bet to do that is the Cowboys. Honestly.
Easily.
It hurts to say, but I think the best bet to do that is the Cowboys.
I hate saying that because, Cowboys. But I think that the team there has the best shot if they can get an O-line and a defensive core.
Just to stop, because I like the defensive core. I think getting Vander Esch is going to help them a lot, but I like Jalen Smith. I like DeMarcus Lawrence. I even like their rookie. I like Trayvon Diggs a lot. You know what I'm saying? He's in the secondary. They have the pieces. They've had the pieces for the last 3 or 4 years.
They've just never been able to put it together.
Yeah, they just couldn't put it together.
I definitely don't think Mike McCarthy's the guy for the job.
You don't think so?
Not at all.
Well, I mean, he's proving not to be.
Exactly.
At the start, but
he proved himself. He proved himself in Green Bay. But think about what he had in Green Bay. He had Rodgers, I mean, Dak Prescott is no Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry.
No.
He is, I hear people, I'm going to ride with Dak Prescott. I wouldn't ride with Dak Prescott if the plane was crashing to the ground. Man,
It's like that.
I wouldn't do it. I mean, I will trust CeeDee Lamb to throw a touchdown pass before I will trust Dak Prescott to.
That's a little harsh. I mean, that's a little harsh.
I don't know.
You watched Dwayne Haskins play, man. Like.
Yeah, I know. But to talk about that, let's talk about the Browns on Sunday.
Yeah.
The Browns against the Cowboys put up 47 points. That's absurd, especially when last year the Browns were barely struggling to put up 10 points in a game.
Yeah.
You know? And the craziest thing is I think OBJ's happy now because OBJ's scoring. And OBJ wasn't scoring. He had more, I saw a stat, he had more touchdowns in the Giants, with the Giants, than he had more touchdowns in one season with the Giants than he had all of his career at the Browns.
Yeah.
And that's crazy because he didn't have a lot at the Giants. And the craziest thing to me is the best pass of that game was thrown by a wide receiver. Easily, the best pass of that game was thrown by a wide receiver on both sides of the Cowboys or the Browns. And Jarvis Landry threw a dime to OBJ. It was a good pass.
It was like watching the quarterback.
Exactly. I was at first, honestly, I will be first. When I first saw it, I thought it was Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
But then I look at the back of his jersey and it's number 80.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you talking about, number 80?
Yeah.
And I was like, what is going on that a defense in the Cowboys lets a Browns team, I mean, now it's a new Browns team. This Browns team has something, and they could go somewhere. But lets them put up 47? That just can't happen.
Yeah, no. That can't happen.
I can't see that.
That can't happen.
Now, where do we think, try to get a little bit of baseball in there for you baseball fans. Do you think that this baseball October playoff picture is anything to the caliber of the ones in the past?
I don't know, because it's only, I don't know, it's tough because it's tough to get a look at baseball where it's like, baseball is supposed to be, you know what I'm saying, it's supposed to be like a 160 game season.
Exactly.
We only play 60 games this
Yeah.
year, man. So you don't know, and to put that into perspective, you know what I'm saying, through 60 games of last year's season, you probably wouldn't have thought that the Nationals were going to win the World. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Not at all.
You didn't think the
Not at
Nationals
all.
were going to win through 60 games to win the World Series. So
Yeah.
I think that's tough with baseball, just playing a 60-game season. I think of all the professional sports that took a hit, I think baseball took the biggest hit.
Well, I mean, especially in viewership.
Yeah.
I mean, their viewership is in the garbage.
Well, what
right
do you
now.
want to? I mean, a lot of people. Listen, I can enjoy a good baseball game, but I'm going to be honest with you. If I have a choice between a playoff basketball game and a playoff baseball game, I'm going to watch a playoff basketball. It's higher. You know what I'm saying? It's faster pace, higher scoring.
And especially on a Thursday night that you got a baseball playoff game, you got an NFL football game, and you have a NBA playoff game. I'm honestly going to say at this point, I'm going to watch the NBA playoff game every time.
Every time.
I mean, NBA did such a good job of continuing the caliber of basketball that, I mean, people were saying, okay, next to the champion of this year, the NBA Finals champion, you're going to have to put an asterisk. I honestly don't believe that an asterisk is necessary.
If anything, that's more true for baseball than it is for the NBA.
I think it's true for baseball, and I think it's honestly going to be true for football. I mean, I don't think that the football season is to the point, and in that regards, in the NFL and in college. Because think about it, you have had football teams in Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan, that haven't played yet.
Yeah.
You've had other football teams, like, I mean, nobody really cares about the Raging Cajuns or anybody like that, but they've been playing for 4 weeks now.
Yeah.
And now you have this team come in, they're fresh, they're ready to go, and they come out, they win every game, they go to the finals, and they win the national championship just because they're fresher.
Yeah, I think college football has been a disaster from Division I down to Division III. Like it's been a disaster, man.
I think college sports in general, there could have been something better.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand that every school across the nation is dealing with this pandemic differently, and there's not a lot that you can do because this is the first time colleges have ever had to deal with something like this. I mean, you and me are sitting here with masks on.
Exactly.
And, we're social distancing and staying away from each other because we don't want to get COVID. And I understand that from across the nation, but as both of us are student athletes, we just want to play.
Just want to play, man.
I mean, tell us what we have to do to play, and we're all going to do it.
Exactly.
I mean, I know that my entire room, my entire floor is football players, and if you told every football player there, if you do these exact things, you're going to play in the spring, they would be following it to the T.
To the T.
Because all they want to do is play. I mean, I, at this point, can confidently say I don't think it'll happen. And that's saddening to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You have anything to add?
Not you.
No, I think I've caught everything here. So, yeah.
Indeed. All right. So that wraps it up. Our first 2020 episode of DVU Overtime. Again, it's great to be back. It was a good one today, I think.
Yeah.
So, I think that's all. I'm your host, Justin Briggs.
And I'm Greg Gipe. We're signing off here from Delaware Valley University.
Signing off, and shout out to my man Shane. Stay classy, Del Val.